Yeah, right. Okay, so we're on the bottom section on page Kuf Lamed Tes, which means that the Mishalim from worldly experiences and even from human experiences have already been presented. And now we're going to try to translate that, how this is Lamaila. In principle, what did we explain? We have two Mishalim, two major Mishalim. That of the sun and that of the Neshama, the Nefesh. The main union, of course, is from the Nefesh. And the principle is the whole focus of this little discussion was is the union that Oir is Me'ein HaMo'ir. This in that Oir is Me'ein HaMo'ir brought us to understand that Oir comes b'derech Memele. It does not get presented and created by the Moir. It is a direct reflection of the presence of the Moir itself. That's when Me'ein HaMoir. This we see clearly in the case of the sun. But then we came to Nefesh. See, in Nefesh there's another depth to it. The sun, we can more readily understand that this is Me'ein HaMoir. This is representing the sun. Wherever the sun is, there is its Oir. The Nefesh is different. Because Nefesh does not get revealed unless it is in an appropriate situation, appropriate place. Such as in Guf HaOdam, or the Guf HaBhema. It's volitional. Still it is Oir, and it still retains and carries with it this superior quality of Oir Me'ein HaMo'ir, despite the fact that is when you said it's Ritzoni, it is volitional. So we explained, and then REBBE explained, this volitional aspect does not create the Oir. It simply allows the Oir to come because the environment and the reality, not even the environment, the reality is compensate with what Nefesh is. It's in the Guf HaOdam. In simple terms, I did not put it in these simple terms before, but the simple term is this: the Nefesh is godly. Therefore, it can only reveal itself in a godly environment. It will only reveal itself in a godly environment. But when it reveals itself in the godly environment, it is its entire truth. It's Derech Mamela. It's Me'ein HaMo'ir. And here's where we can emphasize that it's Me'ein HaMo'ir, in the fact that in fact it will not reveal itself unless it's a godly environment. Because the Nefesh does not provide only the effect of its presence, but its real truth. Its real truth is that it's godly. And therefore if it's not a godly, if it does not have a godly effect, it will not reveal itself. Because its entire truth is that it is a godly element. Godly is at the most essential and deepest and secluded aspect. Let's discuss for a moment godly, if I may, just from a superficial, from a worldly perspective. The principle of godly is that it is an essential truth. It does not have the created element. There was not a moment where it came into being. There is no such thing as come into being. Godly, this is the emes as it is from before even the conceptualization of emes. The truth emes. The nefesh is of that truth, of that make. It gives a life. The shemesh is also a godly, but shemesh is a godly creation. It also has oyer and it's also with derech, but it doesn't compare to nefesh. Nefesh is a godly spark in its entirety. And this is why the nefesh does not, it is volitional, and because it has the godly quality of being volitional, and it will not relate to that which is not godly. It cannot relate to that which is godly. Along with that, the Rebbe points out, the sun will shine its light even if it does not accomplish its purpose, even the clouds block it. And the Rebbe is pointing out, hey, this is an amazing thing. Why would the sun continue to shine if the clouds are blocking its way from reaching the earth? So in our mind, this is a question. It's not a question. The sun is just shining, and whenever it reaches, it reaches. But the Rebbe points out that this is a significant moment, because, as we pointed out, we learned in the Chumash, the sun is l'hoyer al ha'oretz. The sun also has a godly mission. It was created by God, bringing to the world certain qualities. And one of these qualities is that it brings to the world light, illumination. This light is a godly provision for the world. As we said many times, world, by definition of world, is dark. World consists of objects, of physical objects, presences. It is dark. And bringing the light, this is reminding the world, hey, this is a godly creation. To the extent that he can actually see things. And we point out, seeing means that you see it just because it is really, really there, not because it affects you at all. In other words, it's a godly phenomenon. The sun is also functioning in a godly environment. It is also fulfilling, so to speak, a godly mission. And this is why we're pointing out this principle, that the sun will shine even though its light does not accomplish its divine definition to illuminate the world. If the earth, if the clouds are blocking it. And in order to explain this aspect of it, we come to realize that the sun, yes, the sun is a divine thing, but it does not have the volitional aspect. It only shows its presence rather than what it stands for. It's mukhrach. And this is the difference between nefesh and segila, it's saying, and the sun, which is mukhrach. And the interesting thing is, as we said at the end of the top section here, we're not going back there. The interesting thing is that the fact that the gilui nefesh is ritzoini, is volitional, it remains b'derech mamila, because this volitionality does not diminish the fact that it represents the truth of the nefesh itself. The Emer HaMoyer. And as he pointed out, that actually it comes with greater emphasis, the Emer HaMoyer. The fact that it will not illuminate, it will not give chayas to a place where that does not have a godly meaning, that brings out even more the Emer HaMoyer. The nefesh will reveal itself only where there is nefesh quality. Okay, now we're on the second section, the bottom section of page Kuf Lamed Pes. And we will start from the beginning of that section because we never really concluded very much there. Because the dugma, the reflection and the similarity from all this was discussed not to understand the sun, understand the nefesh, but to understand the way things are lamaylo. Yuvan lamaylo bebchinas oirin seif. From this we can understand the way the Indian lamaylo, what lamaylo, in the oirin seif aspect. He said oirin seif all the way in the beginning. That oirin seif means that the oir is itself Ein Sof. Not oir from the Ein Sof, but oir that is Ein Sof. And that, as pointed out yesterday, Ein Sof means it has no boundaries. How can it be oir Ein Sof if it has a boundary, it has a source, an etzem, a beginning? And thus, we explain, and we're going to see inside now. It's oil soif. It is oil soif because it's gilui ha'etzem. Shemeino etzem. It is not a recreation, a product of the etzem. It is the gilui of the etzem itself, which is meino etzem. The oil represents the etzem. And from this we had all these misholim of shefa and oil, and this is what we're going to bring out the way it is lamayl. The hine b'derech klal, for behold, b'derech klal, on the general perspective, beis hamadreges the shefa, the lamaylo, these two madreges that we discussed over here from shemesh and nefesh, that we mentioned that there is two types of giluyim. One is called oir, and one is called shefa. The way these two are reflected Lamailo in the Oyer Soif, who it is, Ha'oyer. The two madrigas are as follows. One is Ha'oyer HaMislabesh B'Kelim Ve'elamis. One is the Oyer that is imbues itself in Kelim and worlds. This is what Shefa is. As we discussed, Shefa means that which is fitted to the Makabel. The motion for Shefa is Rav Talmud. The Rav has his seichel at his level. When he teaches the Talmud, he teaches the Talmud in a complete retranslation, reformulation of the seichel, so that he will fit into the seichel of the Talmud. Now let us focus in a moment. What is the difference? What is the two madrigas of Rav and Talmud? Let us step away and get a simple demonstration, a simple emotion. Excuse me. You have to get to a certain place. You're right here, you want to go to 770. You don't know the streets, you don't know the area. So you approach somebody and you ask him, can you tell me how to get to 770? And he shows you, you go this way, this kind of block side, and then make this turn and so forth, and he'll show you how to get to 770. So at this moment, he knows what you don't know. Does that constitute the relationship between you and him as Rav and Talmud? Absolutely not. If we understand that this is not the definition of Rav and Talmud, that elicits a different insight. What then qualifies as Rav and Talmud? Let us take this exact same situation. Someone is asking you, show me a place where I can get some inspiration. Direct me to a place where I can get some inspiration. And he directs you to 770. The whole question of getting inspiration is a totally different question than show me where is 770. In order to direct you to a place where you can get inspiration, the person who is asking the question has a much deeper perception, understanding what this is all about. You're not even asking him where I can learn Aleph Beis. I'm looking for an inspiration. I'm looking for a neshama light, which is not such a clear and tangible aspect. Clearly, to ask direction to a 770, you can ask anybody in the street. You will not hesitate. You will not discriminate. Even how do you go? How do I get to Kingston and Eastern Park? Even the, so to speak, the automatic
GPS?
Director, what it's called.
GPS.
GPS. But the other question, the other request, that belongs to, that you will ask only to someone who has an insight, who knows what it is, who is at that level. And when he gives you the direction, the reason you're asking him, not somebody else, is because you want his insight. Not his knowledge, but his insight. This is closer to the principle of Rav and Talmud. So, Rav and Talmud, the Rav, that which the Rav, the level at which the Rav perceives this in him. How come he's a Rav and you're a Talmud? When you ask him, how do I get a proper inspiration? This is not a point of knowledge. This is the point of insight. The reason he is a Rav and you are a Talmud is not because he has experienced something, he learned something that you didn't. But rather due to the fact that he had access and he had delved into the source of knowledge, the source of inspiration, not the inspiration itself. Oh, this is a good place, I enjoyed being there. That's not your question. This is what makes him a Rav. This is the difference between Talmud and Rav. Talmud begins from the instruction of the Rav. The Rav starts from a much higher stage, from the source of this Gili. This is what we're saying over here. The oil is me'ein ha'etzem. Oil is reflective of the etzem, not of oil, but of etzem. But then it goes down to the level it becomes shefa. Become shefa means it becomes a tangible, and it becomes an entity as if it were an entity unto itself, not an entity that comes from the source of the etzem, but an entity unto itself. This is Pshat B'Slavish B'Kelim Ve'Elamis. B'Slavish B'Kelim, it becomes an entity unto itself. We explained yesterday, and I will reiterate briefly because always, this was very, very brief. What is the phenomenon of Kelim? If the oil exists before the Keli, without the Keli, what need the Keli for? And the answer is, of course, the oil exists before the Keli because it emanates from the Etzem. The Etzem gives it substance. But when you want the oil as such, the oil by itself, appreciate the oil, then it needs a Keli. Without a Keli, it has nothing, it has no presence on its own to stand on its own. We gave yesterday a very simple muscle. Again, you have to have a little bit of refinement to understand the difference. The water in the lake and the water in a cup. The water in a cup has a completely different definition than water in a lake. It's the same water, but it has a different definition. In a lake, it's fine. It'd be there, float back and forth, and it remains the same. Water in a cup has to be bounded in a cup. Without a cup, you cannot have this water. This is the oil bikeli. And this is what Shefa is. Shefa is when the oil, which is oil of Etzem, is no longer representative purely of Etzem. It becomes an entity unto itself. It becomes an entity unto itself, there needs a keli. These are means by which it is maintained, grasped. Okay, in the middle of the third line, the oil ha-mislabesh b'kelim, when the oil that is mislabesh in kelim, what type of oil is shebo b'bchina shefa? It is the oil shebo that comes and is represented in the shefa aspect. The oil itself acquires a certain tangibility, even if it's oil. Let us take it down in our level, in some kind of a tangible manner. We said many times, sunlight is a phenomenal thing. And we recognize the distinction between saying sunlight, daylight, or light that makes it as possible for me to see my way or to see this book. Light that has a functional definition, it illuminates a certain area, it makes me able to read the book. This is a limited light. It's a light that is identified by its accomplishment and function. Daylight is beyond accomplishment and function. It's a definition beyond the mitzvah of a keli and world. And this is what we're saying. Oyet and mislabesh b'kelim is the b'china shefa. It has been reduced to the point of shefa. Excuse me. It has been defined as a mitzvah of oil rather than oil representing the source. The fourth line. Where is this oil come from? Since we're talking about Etzem Elokus, where is this kind of oil that becomes a Metzias? The mokar of this oil is Bechinas ha'oil ha'oil ha'oilus. It is the oil aspect that is identified by the source, by the Etzem, to illuminate the world. Not oil that carries in it this the message of presenting the Etzem, revealing the Etzem. The Etzem is here. But rather it is the oil acquires a certain purpose and function of its own, in its own environment, in its own level, in its own limited level. Not being oil, but being oil that illuminates and accomplishes something. What is oil? This is what ultimately becomes Shefa. It's mislabesh in keli. It's no longer a representative of the Etzem. Behind, which means it has been defined in its source. In its source. It is still oil mein amoy. In its source it was defined as oil, v'hoilas oilos. Not oil to reveal the Etzem. In other words, this union that is such thing as oil, the oil as oil is not the effect of being distant from the Yetzer. It's revealed as such because of that. But actually it has a source in the inception of Oyer. We spoke a lot about the sunlight, to the extent that we brought down the Chumash and started examining the psukim that define the sun. And we found an interesting thing. V'hoyerim oiris, that the union that the sun illuminates, brings light to the world, is an additional aspect in the sun. V'hoyer, this is what they should be. As you point out, Rashi says, we learn the Rashi and so forth. You would think that, no, the sun by its presence, that's what it is, it illuminates the world. No. The Pasuk says clearly not. There are two separate things. There's a presence of the sun, and the presence of the sun serves all kinds of different valuable yonim. But then there is another aspect in the sun, Behoyer. It will also bring. This is something which was an additional definition in the sun to illuminate the world. This illumination of the world has been defined independently from the sun's reality. Because if it were just the sun's reality, it would not be able to illuminate. It would not be illuminating the world. It's not world. Illuminating the world means make world visible. Make things that in the dark and counter darkness, which is a limited aspect of sunlight than the real meaning of sunlight.
It's not included in it though? It's not included in it? The real aspect of sunlight? I thought it makes everything like it is. Or may not have some.
Let me answer your question, because we ultimately have to get to understand this. When you invite a person to your home, and you serve him dinner, and he takes the dinner and says, good food, thank you, I'll see you later. What's wrong? Isn't the dinner part included in the invitation? We say, hey, this is coarse, this is gross. He doesn't appreciate the whole phenomenon of being invited to my home. Why not? Isn't that part of the invitation? Didn't you invite me for dinner?
Yes.
No. What's wrong?
Yes. It's part of the invitation, but it's part and parcel of the invitation.
So what's wrong with him saying, thank you very much, I'm going to take it, eat in my kitchen?
Because you're separating from its intent.
What's the intent? The intent is the food.
It's not just the food.
Huh? Okay. So that's the answer to your question. Please. Hello?
I understand that.
You do understand? Think about it.